Welcome to Nebraska Preps Postgame with your hosts, Mike Sautter and Jacob Padilla.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another edition of Nebraska Preps Postgame. Jacob Padilla, Mike Sautter here. Got a lot to cover. A lot of things happened.
You were busy last week. Let's start right there. Where you spent all week at the state wrestling championship.
Yeah, state wrestling was great. It was. It's always fun to kind of get that, I guess, done, and to just be there and see the emotion and all of that stuff and the storylines and all of those things are kind of fun. And saw history multiple times, twice actually. Tyson Terry, obviously, he 169-0, the first ever heavyweight to go undefeated in Nebraska high school history. First ever heavyweight to go win 4 state titles, all of those things.
And he spent this season wrestling on a torn ACL.
Yeah.
On top of it.
Remember when we thought it was an MCL sprain?
The other one. Yeah. No.
Yeah. Didn't happen. That was obviously a little more than that. I think publicly it's an MCL sprain. Yeah. At the time, it happened in football. So, tough kid, right?
Yeah.
And then
Kyler
Lordson backed up what his brother did in a 4-time champion, and
crazy.
They are the first pair of siblings to ever be 4-time state champions.
Really cool to have Kale there present the medal to him.
That was obviously Ron Higdon really knows what he's doing when it comes to
where all the storylines and
stuff like that, right? So he set that one up. So
good move, Ron.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, it was awesome. Obviously, there was a bunch more state champions and all that, but those are the big names.
And the first ever split up the girls and the boys. The girls started off the week with the 2 classes, and sounds like that went really well as well.
Yeah, it went really well. People were very happy with the way it turned out and worked out. There was, I think it was 16,000 total tickets in the 3 sessions for the girls. It's kind of a lot.
It's not bad.
The finals were over 4,000, so it's pretty good for a standalone girls first time ever.
First of its kind.
Yeah, pretty good crowds. So it was fun. I got some basketball in there though.
Yeah, ducked out a little bit, but we'll duck basketball here. But if you want more Mike's wrestling thoughts, check out the Mike Chuck podcast. He does a great job all season.
Yeah, Chuck, my guy Chuck, and I, and
various others.
Various others. We have a lot of guests and special correspondent guests, I guess you can call it, and all that. So we like to have fun with that.
Cool.
All right. So basketball.
Yeah.
Districts seeding. We're recording this on Monday.
There's one more regular season game left.
One game. And it's Norfolk versus Grand Island. But we kind of you can do math and you kind of know which way it's going to lean as far as Class A is concerned.
Pretty eventful last week, though.
Yeah.
Some interesting games, and we got a few upsets. And
in our coaches poll, there was some changes, flips, and all that stuff in kind of different classes. But Papillion South remained number 1.
With a
big week.
Yeah, they beat Millard West by 21. Reese Kircher had 31 in that game. Yeah. And then they beat Millard North. I was there on Friday, 62-42 against. Yeah. We talked about how well Millard North had been playing, hadn't lost to a team in Nebraska since the calendar turned to 2025. They risen up to number 2 in the poll, right behind Papillion South, and it was a close game at halftime. Titans were up 33-31, kind of back and forth throughout the first half. And then Papillion South held Millard North to 4 of 24 from the field in the second half.
That's crazy.
They made 4 shots, and one of them came on their very last possession after the game was very much over. They finally threw in a 3 at the end there. So that was, they went 3 for 23 up until that point. Just kind of crazy. Millard North, I think some of the shot selection, they settled quite a bit and threes weren't falling. Didn't really take advantage of trying to get the ball inside. And but it was really impressive performance by Papillion South and the way they battled on defense. And Bryson Ball was an absolute dude. 25 points on 9 of 15 from the field, hit 5 threes. 13 rebounds, 2 blocks, just the best player on the court. And Derek Rollins is the only Mustang in double figures at 13. Everybody else they completely kept in check. And it took him 14 shots to get his 13 points as well. So they did a great job on him. Half his shots were threes, which in this matchup, that's probably not the way the game should go. So credit to Papillion South for executing their game plan, and 21-3 at the conclusion of the regular season, number 1 in our poll, looking very strong heading into district play.
Yeah, they should be. I mean, we think they're going to be the number 1 overall seed when districts start or come out. It's something that's never happened before for them. So we'll see, right? Like, is there pressure there? Is there not? How do they handle it? There's more than just them this year that have kind of like haven't been there, right? I mean, the last
and
time,
we've seen them struggle a bit district play last couple of years.
The last time they made it to state was the upset at Central. They beat Central. I was there. I think it was a couple of years ago. So it's about 4 maybe. Yeah. They made it before. I'm just top of my head. I just remember that one game. It wasn't a home game. So now you're like the hunted versus the hunter kind of situation. It's a little bit different. So,
yep. No, North remained at 2. They earlier in the week, they beat Southeast 71-58 from behind a 30 piece from Derek Rollins, and had 3 others in double figures, plus Deacon Courtney, a bucket short of a double-double. Like, that's the Millard North team that we had seen, where they had everybody rolling, and they're getting some interior production from Courtney along with Rollins. That's the team they need to get back to for the season, but we know they're capable of it. Westview stayed at 3, 80-69 win at Kearney. Yeah. Tough place to play. They were down. They had to rally.
The environment was great. Yeah. Everyone, me or people I talked to about it. So yeah, go ahead. So,
and that's, I mean, the maturity, the ability to rally in that kind of environment. It's a big win for Westview heading into the postseason, just for their confidence and feeling good about themselves. Now heading into districts.
Yeah. And then, so Westside is just holding steady, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's 21-3. It's pretty good.
And again, pretty good losses. Nothing bad on that resume.
Right. And they'll likely be the 4 seed. And and I wish these were here so we could talk about
3 seed, probably
3 seed. Sorry. Yes, that's right. And then
Westview the 2.
Westview will be the 2.
And Millard North dropped to 5 with the loss.
Yeah. Papillion LaVista's upset win last week over Lincoln North. That's really changed some stuff.
That kind of shook up the back half of our poll and shook up some district seeding. That 85-73 win for Papillion LaVista, who has had a few nice wins this season.
No, they had their size and all that is really good.
So and Garen Maley had a double-double, 14-12. He had 21 points from Sam Boudreau, who lighted up. Right. 16 points from Cedric Williams. And then Preston Avalon, a sophomore, chipped in 10 as well. So just a lot of production from different guys. Northeast wasn't able to finish the season strong there. And so Northeast likely drops down to the 6 to host. They're still hosting, but they could have been the 4 or the 5 there, and dropped down to 6. And they dropped down to 8 on our poll, which allowed Prep to rise up to 5th at 15-6. But they beat Bryan 80-61. Trinell Parker didn't play in that one.
Right.
And then finished the season with 73-25 win against Burke on their senior day. Bellevue West at 6. They how about this week for Bryce Johnson?
They're on a heater.
Yeah.
Like, they really are.
Bryce Johnson, 11 points and 14 assists in their 80-48 win against Fremont.
Dude's hitting threes.
Followed it with 26 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and 4 steals in their 80-47 win against Benson. So did it by getting his teammates involved, then did it on his own, kind of showing his versatility and ability and his growth there. They need him to be a big-time player for them to make a postseason run. And so I'm sure Steve Klein's happy to see him playing like that heading into the postseason. 7 North Star. They're up to the predicted 4 seed after holding on to beat Millard South in their place, 59-56. I was down there. It was kind of back and forth, tight the whole way through. The difference was they forced 18 turnovers for Millard South. And they They hit 10 threes. Millard South only hit 5.
Yeah,
just hard to make up.
Pressure they play with. You got to really be able to handle it.
Yep. So wasn't a great offensive game for either side, but showed North Stars able to pull out a grinder there. So that's a big win for them. Jumped up to 7 in the poll. Jumped up to, again, projected 4 seed. So yeah, a lot of shuffling there. Millard 5, likely Lincoln North 6, and then Prep in A7 with Bellevue West as the 2 seed there. That's
a dangerous Bellevue West team. As yours. You don't want your Prep. You're like, anybody else outside of Lincoln Southeast. They probably
they don't want to see in and out of them.
Those would be the 2s that would flip. If anything, whatever changes. If math is wrong right now,
Southeast is the A6 too. So.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So those 2 would be the flip, and I don't know if. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Like, I probably don't. If I'm Prep, it's been 2 years in a row.
Yeah, probably looking for a different matchup at that point.
In a district final or something. And obviously, they would have to match up and win their first games. But I'm not. Yeah, for some reason, I don't think that Coach Lukey would want to see Lincoln Southeast in his gym playing for a district title again, 3 years in a row. Like, I just don't know.
Yeah. So, barring changes, it's Papillion South, Westview, Westside, North Star, Millard North, Northeast, and Creighton Prep as the 7 district hosts in A. Anything surprising there, or
no, not really. And then kind of just looking ahead, because we won't talk about this stuff. But if this is the way the matchups work, A4 and A5, also 6 and 7. Just looking at the 1 versus 2 seeds,
all rematches, all kind of
all would have a shot.
Yeah,
right. Like you would give the 2 seed. You can make a case, like, for all of them, and depending on frankly, like Papio or Westview, if Papillion, LaVista, and Westview or Central, like whoever wins that one will be a grinder. Like, a lot of big bodies moving around. So you have in A2, that would be, Westview's. And then A3 is like Southwest or North, Omaha North. That game would be pretty good. And then you'd have Westside likely on that other side. It's kind of, all these matchups kind of goes back to what we said all year now, is every game you don't know, right? Like
a lot of parity. It comes down who's going to execute that given night.
Like 14 or whatever. It's probably anybody's game a lot of nights. So, and also shout out to Buena Vista. Like, they're 15 and 10.
1 and 21 to 15.
Pretty good
10.
turnaround there. Yeah. And a 2 seed in a district likely is pretty cool. Like, for what they've done. So, it's good. So I have no idea where I'll be.
We've got a lot of things we're juggling.
But we also need the official brackets. Sometimes the stuff to come out, then we can kind of manage schedules a little bit more. But
girls going on right now, getting ready for
we'll see
next week.
I know I'll be a lot of places, and I'm already thinking about punting on a college game to go to a district final. So we'll do the best we can. Yeah. Like, we have other people that can help too. Okay, you want to move to B?
Yeah, let's do it.
So there's a lot of shakeup-ish because Aurora's win over Skutt.
Yeah. Knocks Skutt from 1 to 3. 49-48.
Some injuries there, too.
So George Zeeble did not play, ankle sprain for Skutt.
But that does not diminish the fact that it's a great win for Aurora.
Brock Scholl did play, and so did all their other starters. It was, credit to Aurora, because they were down 37-23, 3 minutes into the second half. And they found a way to rally back into it. They held Skutt to 11 points in the last 13 minutes of the game. They were down 2 with 11 seconds left. No timeouts after a Skutt free throw. Got it in, and Cannon Allen pushed it ahead, ran kind of a transition ball screen pick and pop with 6'7" freshman Jackson Schlegel, and he knocked down the 3 off the pop there with about a second left to give them the victory there. Swiggle had 16 points, Allen had 13, and then Booker Shireman 11 points, 9 boards, 5 blocks, and 3 assists. He has had a monster defensive season, double-double consistently for them. Shireman's had a great season for Aurora, who is 20-3 now after that win. And climbed up to 8 in the poll. Skutt, again, 18-5, dropped to 3 behind Elkhorn North because I guess the head-to-head plus Skutt taking that loss, pushed them to 5 losses there. North back to 1 after taking care of business against Northwest, Lincoln Northwest, Elkhorn North 3, Skutt, or Elkhorn North 2, and Skutt 3. So some jumboing at the top there. I think after that, it's kind of not a whole lot of change beyond that. Scottsbluff made it 4, Gretna East 5, Pius 6th. So and Wahoo 7th. Again, Aurora climbed up, and then Crete. You saw them against Platteview. They're up to.
They had a really good 3 quarters. First quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter was really good. Second quarter, not so much for Crete. Now, like Justice Garner, they just. I think in the second half they just were like, "All right, man, go! Go! We're gonna get you the ball in your hand.
Carry us home."
Yeah, and he did. He was great. Plattview's not bad though. Right, Ryman Zebra was really good. I was impressed with him. It's the first time I've seen him play basketball like in a game setting, like a real game, I guess.
State couple of years.
Well, I know, but I'm talking like recently.
Yeah.
So it was he had a great game.
Yeah. So, good win for Creed, and they're
good win for Creed
team.
Getting back. Yeah, and then now here's the thing with like Class B district stuff we can talk about. It doesn't. There's sub-districts first, and then they reseed.
Yeah,
so the sub-districts are already assigned. You already know who you have, and then they reseed it after sub-districts to the tops. Then 1 through 16, and 16 plays 1, and like you go that way.
Yeah.
So it's totally different.
Yeah,
and every other class is the same way, like from B down to D2.
Yeah,
so it's not.
And I'm not opposed to it at all. Like trying to make sure we get the best teams through in whatever way. It's just always weird when you've got like rivalry matchups within their sub districts for between like really good teams that ultimately isn't going to matter, like because they're both getting through.
Norris and Pius are in the same sub district.
Yeah,
it matters. They're both going to make like if they can obviously beat the other teams.
Yeah,
but like the outcome of that game doesn't really matter.
They're both going through. Yeah,
and they might end up playing each other again for a district title like 2 days later.
Yeah.
So it's
kind of fascinating how teams approach that, because you go in trying to win every single game. You don't ever, but at the same time, you don't want to throw out all your tricks for a game that ultimately doesn't matter. So it's always kind of fascinating to me how teams kind of navigate that setup there.
Yeah. I mean, and even like just looking at these, like you have Bennington and Elkhorn North and Blair and Roncalli are in a sub-district.
Yeah.
And this season, it's like, okay, you could see Bennington, Blair, and Elkhorn North all winning a district title. Like you make a case.
That Blair did it a few years ago out of nowhere, kind of
like shocked. It's just like, what do you, I don't know. Like, so that's a sub-district.
Yeah.
So yes, the outcome of those games totally matter, because it based on your seeding and how you can move up or down or whatnot as far as the reseed. But it's also kind of like,
but top seeds have that kind of safety net that if you were to lose, we just got to get back to work and go win the next one.
And even now, I will say, like Class C1 on down Class C sub-districts aren't assigned yet.
Yeah.
And D1 and on down have their sub-districts assigned. So that's why we haven't talked about any district seeding like we did with A.
Still a lot
totally
up in the air.
Different. We don't know yet until I think they'll when is that? 27th is when the sub-district finals are, and then the district finals are Saturday the 1st, I believe. So it's a lot
to track this week, as always.
Yeah.
You mentioned C1, a bit of a shake. Omaha Concordia dropped from 3 to 5 after taking a loss to DC West. I was there. Concordia's in rough shape right now. They've got one starter out for the year. They've got another that's trying to play through an injury. So 2 key pieces there, out or limited for Concordia, which obviously isn't what you want heading in the postseason. I know Auburn sustained a significant injury to one of their best players. So you hate seeing that kind of stuff heading into the postseason here, where injuries may ultimately end up deciding some of these matchups and the field that we end up getting. But outside of that, I mean, 1-2, Lincoln, Lutheran, Ogallala continuing to roll up top there. Holdridge at 3, obviously they've had a great season. Cozad up to 4. Ashland Greenwood, close win against Winnebago, dropped 1 spot to 6 with Cozad jumping up there. And then Auburn, Sydney, Doniphan Trumbull, and Fillmore Central cracking the top 10 this week at 19-4. Daniel Stoners had a great season for them. So that's kind of name to note there. In C2, a little bit of a shakeup. Harding Cedar Catholic went from 8-4, or Cross County rather, went from 8-4 with a win over EMF, who dropped from 6-9. So a top 10 win there. A good win for Cross County, who they don't have any one like star. It's just a like tough, physical, balanced team across the board. Who's 21-2 now on the season as we head into the postseason there. And then Norfolk Catholic dropped from 5-7 after Harding Cedar Catholic, who was number 9, beat them and jumped up to number 6. 48-36 win there for Cedar Catholic.
Each other all year long. I feel like multiple times.
Yeah. It was a good win for Cedar Catholic.
Yes.
Who is 18-6 now.
Yeah. And then D1,
0 changes.
Nothing changed.
No,
big changes in D2 because St. Mary's lost to Elgin Public Pope John.
Yeah. 69-65 loss there. EPJ jumped up 8-6, and St. Mary's dropped from 1-3, which kind of opened up. Interesting that Wynot got the nod there at 16-7, jumped from 4-1 over Wausau. But yeah, that's kind of how it is heading into, again, D2 is looking pretty open. Like you look at all these, there's number 1 team in our poll has 7 losses. Number 2 is 2. Number 3 has 5. Number 4 has 6. Number 5 has 5. Like there's a lot of these teams that beat each other, and there's because nobody that's
why not beat Wausau in their conference championship?
That's so yeah,
like
head to head,
2 weeks ago.
That's right.
So that's why.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I mean, you look at there's some of these, most of these other classes, you got teams that are sitting there 1-2 losses. Multiple teams. That's not really the case in D2s, which could make for a really interesting postseason here.
I think we kind of feel good about like real favorites no, we don't. I was going to say we feel really good about favorites in basically every class except for D2. That's not true either. Yeah. Like you can make a case for a bunch of teams winning a state title in every class this year.
Yeah.
At least like 4 or 5, right? So that should be fun. Like down the stretch, when you get down the stretch here, this is what I said, previously. We don't have the stars on the court, like the mega stars going to power conference schools. But the games are the stars because they're so dang competitive. And that's how it will be again coming, like seen that all year. Yeah. And now that the pressure kind of heats up a little bit, should be pretty competitive games.
Yeah, I feel pretty good about Johnson Brock in D1.
Yeah, that's the
Freeman
one.
Probably in C2, although GIC has had a great season. Summerlin and Cross County 21-2. Yeah. They're playing well at the right time. But I think he's still Freeman 21-1. Right. And the only loss is to Johnson Brock, who they avenged. Feel pretty good about them. But then, I mean, Lincoln Lutheran
D1 Bancroft Rosalie really can shoot it. So
19-3.
We'll see how that that matches up. But there's a lot of stuff.
C1 always you feel like that's kind of a handful of teams.
Yeah, it's kind of been Lincoln Lutheran though all year.
Again, they've lost to Concordia.
Right.
Like these teams that beat each other.
And Ashland Greenwood, when it comes down to it, has been there, done that, and coaches know what they're doing and all of that.
Then you've got the Holdridge and Cozads that have kind of risen up with strong seniors to join the group. Ogallala, who has been there before.
Right.
Sawyer Smith has had a ridiculous season there, just like Garrett Johnson has for Holdridge.
Yeah, imagine like Dudesman and Sawyer Smith playing each other in a state final would be fun.
Yeah.
Like two of the better athletes in the class.
You've got, again,
there's a lot of like names in C1 where you just like, oh yeah.
I mean,
like
Dudesman, Sawyer Smith, Garrett Johnson, they're probably arguably the three best players in C1, leading their teams to the top 3 teams in our poll.
That's what I mean. It's like you have the name,
chance for some.
You have like some star senior-ish guys in C1. Yeah.
And so it should be fun. And B, I think you feel pretty strongly about Skutt. If they get healthy. I still feel like Norris has
Elkhorn,
the
Elkhorn, Norris, Scotts Bluff, I'm going to put in there. All three can really like heat up from outside.
Play it up and fast tempo and
stuff. So it's kind of like
that's how you have
game flow,
because you're not going to beat Skutt.
In a half court game. Yeah. I think that's really hard. So
with the size they have, so you got to win the math battle with possessions and with threes and tempo and make them really.
Pius is one that could push some pace and hang in there too.
Yeah, and that's a team that's again
they're pretty dangerous.
The way they bounce back and they're as battle tested as anybody in B with primarily a Class A schedule. They played Class A before dropping down to B again this year. They've got a couple of seniors or 3 seniors and Parker Kelly, Michael Haith, and Cole Randall that are leading the way for them. So I mean, and we talked about Gretna East's rising here. That they'll be a tough out as well. So B should be a lot of fun. Like B is so much better this year than it was last year. The depth and balance of talent. You still got to knock off the champs, and Scott's going to be tough. But I mean, Elkhorn North's done it, and they were at full strength when they did that in their gym. I was there. Like they have that.
It's a little different in Lincoln, though.
100%, and especially Skutt is very used to playing down there
in big moments and all of that. So that's the same thing. Like in A. None of these teams have been.
No, they don't have guys that have been there,
except for Millard North. Like Millard North has the major experience there, and Westside, they don't have their guys. They've been on the bench or watching. You know what I mean?
They haven't been on the court in this.
Yeah,
in that
big
setting.
Moment settings like that. So same thing. Westview, very talented. They've had a really nice season from not just 2 guys, but kind of 5 or 6 guys. They've not been there,
and they're not going to be able to play at home where they've got some of their biggest wins.
I mean.
That's why that Kearney win was big for them, going on the road away from home and getting that one. Yeah,
and Westside's had an awesome season. Same thing with Papillion South. Like you have Bryson Ball, who for my money is the best player.
Yeah.
Like, but have they, like in that big arena, that moment with the crowd and the energy and all that, like it's different. It's different. And coaching staffs that have been there and done that before matter too, and know the process of like, this is the time you got to leave and all of those things kind of matter. So, but on the Westview point on that, I think I feel good about their athletic director and principal that have done that before a few times, more than a handful of times. So they kind of know the routine.
For sure. It always starts at the top and trickles on down. And that's no surprise to see Westview here based on their leadership.
Yeah. They were always going to be a good basketball school. I'll say that based off of who their principal and athletic director are. All right. That'll do it for Nebraska Preps Post this week. And we'll try and get something done next week.
Yeah, we'll try to get back and get a girls' state preview out there and recap all this craziness from
the best
district play. But
districts.
Yeah, we'll continue to bring you coverage throughout the end of the season here. And so stay with me.
A Hurrdat Sports Network production.